Welcome back to California Cooking. The countdown to Thanksgiving is on. So today I'm going to add a modern spin to some traditional Thanksgiving dishes. On the menu, an elevated apple pie, a savory bread pudding, and crispy Parmesan roasted veggies. Rose Wild is an award-winning pastry chef. Her new cookbook has been recognized by Bon Appetit as one of the best cookbooks this fall. Rose showed me how to make a delicious apple sheet pie that will feed a crowd this Thanksgiving. Hi, Rose. Welcome.
Hi, Jessica. Thank you for having me. I'm great.
Good. You travel with sweets.
I do. Everywhere I go, people usually expect me to have something in my purse.
I know.
Behind your ear.
Right? But how I'm so impressed. By the way, this cake is so stunning. And the fact that you traveled across town with this beautiful cake and there's not one
intact.
imperfection. It's gorgeous. Your book, beautiful.
Thank you.
Really your whole kind of, I don't know, everything behind it, the ethic, the idea behind the book is travel and maybe thinking outside the box and thinking of different flavors and different ways of really making things that are very familiar but have a little something, right?
Yeah, I think so. I think that all of these recipes are going to be familiar in sort of what they are, but instead of just relying on all-purpose white flour, you're going to be putting in a grain that adds more flavor, right?
Okay,
and so as a chef, if there's no flavor, like it's your job to put flavor in.
Well, flour is pretty flavorless. You're right.
It
White
is.
flour's got not much going on.
But grains have so much flavor and so much texture.
Right. More flavor and probably even better for you, really, right?
Yeah, totally. I like to lead with flavor because that's the thing that we get excited about. But it also is more nutritious and it's more digestible. Yeah, so all these things. But I like to get into the idea of this like new wave of whole grains, whereas in the 1970s it was very much like eat it because it's good for you, period.
True.
But now we're saying eat it because it's delicious.
Yes.
And you'll love it. And then also in the book you'll find tons of different botanicals. And what I mean by that is
what do you mean?
A whole part of the plant. So I advocate eating root to blossom, which is sort of my answer to the nose to tail movement, right? About honoring an animal. So we want to honor a plant as well. All the part of the plants taste as familiar as a part you may be more familiar with, and you can still use it. So you'll find lots of those tips and tricks, which are, again, for me, just a way to enjoy more flavor, but ultimately are gonna reduce your waste in the kitchen and make things more fun.
Red bread. Does it have anything to do with that fiery red hair?
I mean, it certainly is helpful, I think, for people to remember, but I actually named it red bread because I wanted to pick something that could be understood in any language. And that was important to me because being in Los Angeles, it's very multicultural. So right now, we are mostly a internet micro bakery, so you place orders and then you pick up. And these are some of our famous cracked cookies.
Tell me, these won a very special honor.
These were voted the best cookie in LA by LA Times and LA Magazine and LA Weekly 3 separate times. They are my most asked for recipe. My general experience with them is that people will literally come up to me and be like, okay, listen, I know you're not gonna tell me the recipe, but I'm just gonna say some ingredients and you just-
And you nod.
You nod if I've got them right, exactly.
Okay, I'm gonna, as you tell me, I obviously oatmeal, chocolate.
Oatmeal, chocolate.
Cinnamon, sugar.
Cinnamon, there you go. Honestly, that is the thing that has eluded everybody.
Really? But you know what? It's like the best oatmeal cookie you've ever had.
It's now in the book, so you can make them yourself.
Okay, the secret's out.
The secret's out. And then I brought you a cake that we have on our menu right now, which is our fall pear spice cake.
This needs a moment.
So she is a spice cake with vanilla mascarpone and honey poached pears and an Italian chamomile olive oil buttercream.
What a gift.
Yeah, you're a good person if you order a cake from me and they go to someone.
You kind of are, yeah. But today, we're gonna make a little something that I think is, but what makes you is it's an apple pie, but there's other stuff going on.
Yeah, so I'm gonna make one of my favorite apple pies that I make every year. That I was so excited to put in the book. It's a Khorasan apple pie with halva. So Khorasan is this really cool whole grain that's very golden and is sandy. It makes the crust very tender, but it also gives it this crunch. And then the halva is a confection made from sesame seeds.
Okay, yeah.
And it just really mimics, I think, that like earthiness that underpins an apple sweetness and like pulls that out. And we get something that tastes like really magical without being too sweet.
Okay, right. Rose, baking pins.
Yeah, we got our baking pins. We've chosen our weapons.
We have.
We're gonna put a little flour down. I've already made the pie crust for us. It's a pretty straightforward pie crust. If you've ever made one, you're gonna really recognize this. It's just got, you know, flour, butter, water. I do add a little sourdough starter. It's not necessary for it to be active. It can be discard. I just like the flavor and the added benefit of a slight fermentation. And
now, is this butter I'm seeing?
That is butter you're seeing.
You don't mess around, Rose.
No, we want to keep big chunks of butter because that's going to give us the huge flaky bits.
Okay.
And then we're going to put a little on top. And then we are going to start from the center. And since we're making a slab pie, we want to make it into a big rectangle.
Right.
I like to make sure that this is really well floured, so I will not only rotate it, but I will flip it over. Okay. And you just want to make a really big rectangle. We're using a whole sheet tray, half sheet tray, to make that slab pie. And I'll kind of just drop it on top and see, like, I'm pretty much almost there. You're pretty close too, yeah. And then we're gonna grab that half sheet tray and take some baking spray. This isn't necessarily like make or break, but it is gonna make it easier to like get out of the pan when you're ready to scoop. Yeah. Roll it out. Gorgeous. Gorgeous! Now we can grab a fork and we're just gonna do a couple. This is called docking. It just helps so that the crust doesn't lift up as it steams. So we also have this beautiful filling. This is a combination of Pink Lady and Lucy apples. So we're gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna reach in with my hand. Oh, you got the fork.
Got the fork, I'll help you out.
I like to be a little messy.
So what's in there?
It's just brown sugar and some sliced lemons. And then we're just gonna spread it out. Yeah, perfect. And if you're having a lot of people over for Thanksgiving, this is a great way to make one dessert and just be done with it.
This would serve quite a few people.
Yeah, this should serve up to 20, even 30 people, depending on how thick you make those slices. And then this is the halva. And we're gonna use about half of this. And you're just gonna like break it up and let it sort of fall.
And this is sesame, kind of a sesame paste?
So it's made by grinding sesame seeds with sugar.
Okay.
All right, so with mine, we're gonna do the lattice. So I'm gonna take my pizza wheel, which I find is the easiest, but you could also use a bench cutter, something like this. And I'm gonna just trim the edges. And we're gonna do nice, thick ribbons. We need about 3 big, thick ribbons to get across vertically. All right, here we go. Oop, well.
See, you don't panic.
It's okay.
She didn't get, that did not shake you at all.
And then we're going to, I'm just gonna lengthen this out a little bit so we can get a couple more strips. And these ones are gonna be the horizontal ones. And the way to lattice is I like to start with, it's pretty easy with just 3 when you're doing them fat. You can also make these like smaller and get more lattice. I'm just going around and creating a coil to start, which means just taking the bottom layer and folding it up and over, and then taking a little extra flour. Now we're gonna go back around and create that crimp. And I like to use these 2 fingers and this index finger, and you're just kind of sliding doors
let me watch you.
Like that. Stunning, Jessica.
Look at us.
You're like so good at this.
Oh my God.
I have a little egg wash here and a little brush. And this egg wash is just a whole egg with a little bit of milk. And you kind of treat it like paint. Like you get a little and then you wipe it off on the side, and then you just want to make sure you're giving everything a nice little wash. And then finally we've got our large grain sugar. So this is just like a turbinado sugar, and we're just gonna go pretty heavy on this because we want it to really sparkle. And there we go.
Oh my gosh, is that a beauty? And it's not even cooked yet.
So we're gonna bake this at 350 degrees for about 45 minutes to an hour. It's gonna be a little longer if you don't have convection baking.
Yay! Come on, we made a pie. How pretty, and like you said, that caramely brown with the sparkly sugar on top.
Yeah, and you can see kind of the swirls of the halva inside. So let's break in. Warm and gooey, you can see that filling. Yep. And then we're gonna take some of that halva custard.
Oh, yes, please.
And just give you a little on the side there.
So good. You taste that little bit of the sesame. It's kind of that thing where you go, where you're like, what is that? I also love that it is not too sweet. This is a game changer, I think, for Thanksgiving.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you, happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving. I hope this ends up on everyone's table.
Yes, it should. Coming up, carrots and parsnips crusted with Parmesan cheese. Yes, please. But first, it's a twist on stuffing. I'm going to show you how I make my savory bread pudding. Here's a side dish that may be your next favorite holiday staple. Check out how I make my savory bread pudding with sausage and sage. Chopping lots of onions, always part of Thanksgiving prep. So for today, I was thinking about stuffing, and everyone loves stuffing and has their own ideas. I've never tried this approach, but I like kind of where it might be going, which is a savory bread pudding. Now the difference between a stuffing, which same thing, it's dried bread, but a lot of times it's chicken stock, it's maybe sausage, it's sage, it's all those flavors that we're familiar with. This, the difference would be heavy cream and eggs, and that would give it that bread pudding kind of fluffiness that you really don't get in stuffing. So the first thing, good bread. And I'm crying because of the onions. I have a French baguette, but you could use any bread, honestly, but it's gotta be kind of that good, crusty, nice, hearty bread. This is best if you can cut it and let it sit out overnight. Let it get a little stale, let the air get to it. That'll make for a better bread pudding. So I've got a chopped baguette. I have some breakfast sausage. So this has a little bit of maple syrup flavor going on. I think that'll be nice. Some shallot, and then I've got the thyme and the sage. And one thing you do put in bread pudding that you don't put in stuffing usually, cheese. So I've got some Gruyere cheese that I'm gonna shred and put in there as well. So let's go ahead and make our batter. So I've got 1.5 cups of half and half, 8 eggs. So a lot of eggs, which basically gives you that kind of souffle that you get when you do a bread pudding. And then to that, some salt, some pepper. I'm also going to add some fresh thyme. So basically just take a few sprigs and you pull off the little leaves. I would say at least a tablespoon of thyme. And then sage, our beautiful sage, and that is the flavor of Thanksgiving to me, sage. The Gruyere cheese, let's go ahead and get that. I used most of it. For the other things, the sausage, the onion and garlic, I'm gonna take back and saute and then add that to our batter here. All right, I've got my maple breakfast sausages cooking. So our sausage is not cooked all the way through, but that's okay because they'll cook in the bread pudding. So I'm gonna take these out. They got nice and brown. Then we'll add in our shallot. A couple of cloves, like 3-4 cloves of garlic. I'm gonna rough chop. Garlic going in. You want a pinch of salt. And I'm gonna cut up the sausage. Add this in. And then let's go put our bread pudding together. I'm snacking on Gruyere. Oh my gosh, so good. Okay, got all the ingredients. Now we're gonna whisk our 8 eggs with our half and half. We wanna just whisk it until all the egg yolks are mixed in there. The bread going in, coat all of that. And it looks like it's too much liquid at first, but the bread is gonna soak all of this up. And then to that, sausage. Oh, it smells so good. You smell the maple sausage, the sage and the thyme, the onions, and garlic, shallots really. I like shallots because they're just a little less strong. And you don't want the sausage or the onions to be too hot because you could scramble the eggs. So just keep that in mind, let it cool for a minute. Now, buttered baking dish. I just take the stick of butter and cover all the area inside the baking dish. Gonna pour, and then you wanna push. Press it all in there. And now what you're gonna do is let this sit in the fridge for a couple of hours so that it can all soak up this liquid. I think just to make it pretty, I'm gonna put a sage leaf on top. Maybe a little thyme too. A little bit of parchment paper, just let this sit in the fridge, then we'll cover it with foil and pop it in the oven, 325 for about 30 minutes. Our savory bread pudding, I let this sit for a minute because it was bubbly and a little too hot to try, but I gotta get in here, just sneak a little taste. And what's nice for those who like the crispy, the top has the crispy bit. This, the next day for breakfast, oh my goodness, with some eggs. So good. And it, just like you would a stuffing, but there's something different about it because it has that kind of creaminess in the middle and the crunchy on top. It's a different take on stuffing, but I kind of love it. Coming up, you can't go wrong with veggies, roasted and crispy Parmesan cheese. I'll have that yummy side dish coming up next. We have come a long way from the boring boiled vegetables on the holiday table. Here's a way to make veggies crunchy, cheesy, and just plain delicious. I don't know if you guys have tried this preparation, which you can really do with anything. You can do it with potatoes, vegetables, but basically the base of what's going on here is Parmesan cheese. And I think this would be kind of a fun little twist to add to your Thanksgiving this year. So, grated Parmesan, baking sheet, that's for starters. I'm gonna do 2. Over here I've got parsnips and sweet potatoes. You could do carrots, you could do Brussels sprouts. Honestly, green beans, any veggie would work with this preparation. It's super simple. So I've peeled my sweet potatoes and my parsnips. So I'm gonna do, I think, cuts like this. You want flat surface area. Parsnips done. I'm gonna throw them in this bowl. And then our sweet potatoes. Same thing. Maybe I'll do sweet potatoes this way. The more flat surface area you have, the better, because then the Parmesan will stick. Let's start there. I've got melted butter, unsalted butter, and olive oil. I'm gonna pour that, probably a tablespoon or 2 of butter, maybe a tablespoon or 2 of olive oil. Thyme, I'm gonna use some fresh thyme. You just pull back and all the leaves come off. You don't even have to chop it. Get everything coated. And if you need more, just hit it with another drizzle of oil. Salt, black pepper. Here's what you do. And I think I'm gonna separate because they may cook differently. So I'm gonna do sweet potatoes on one tray. You just nestle it in there and then magic happens in the oven. Okay, and we'll do our parsnips. This is really easy to do on Thanksgiving morning. There we go, in the oven, 400. And then you just check and see how long until they're soft and the cheese is all crispy. Oh boy, veggies are done. Now that cool thing I said happens in the oven when you do the Parmesan cheese. Let me show you. So you don't flip them, you just cook them enough so they're soft in the middle. You put a fork in it, make sure that they're cooked. So basically what happens, the bottoms get this crispy bit of Parmesan cheese attached to every bite. Just have to be a little careful. Look, flip it over. Look at that. And then as it cools down, right now it's a little stretchy, but as it cools down, it becomes crunchy Parmesan. And that is how you make a veggie not boring. Oh, look at this one. That's a winner right there. Let's try our sweet potatoes. Oh boy. Oh my goodness, look at that. This is exciting to see this. Look at that. What you could probably do is just lay a few bits of thyme on top just to make it festive and pretty. Your guests won't know what hit them. Look at this. If there's any way to eat a parsnip, yum. It almost feels like something you want to eat as a little snack. It's so yummy. The cheese, I taste the thyme. The parsnip is soft. A little butter in there. Give them a try. For all the recipes we featured today, follow us on Instagram at KTLA California Cooking. Thanks for watching, and I hope you'll join us for our annual Friendsgiving special, Thanksgiving morning at 9 a.m. We'll see you then. I can't get over your butter earrings too. Those are great.
I wore these for you since we're making pie.
I know, we're making pie.